Hey, what is up, mortals? It is SPerkVA here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 3 of What If Deku Had a Regen Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin.
I have to what?
Midoriya exclaimed. When passing on One for All, it has to be passed on through DNA, All Might explained excitedly, acting like everything he was saying was completely normal. Midoriya took the hair from between the number 1 hero's fingers and turned his back to the man. After a couple of moments, he turned back around, clutching his stomach and looking a bit green to the face. Well, greener. Great! Now our training starts! All Might gestured to the great amount of trash around the beach.
What? There's no way we can clean all this up in a month,
Midoriya exclaimed. Normally you couldn't, but now you have the power of One for All. It might take a bit of time for the power to register with your body, but since you're already physically fit, you should be compatible with the quirk. When Midoriya finally felt ready to activate One for All, he felt its power radiating across all of his body. Power coursed through his muscles, as sparks of green radiated from his veins. The feeling was similar to when he controlled his regeneration, except this power felt more unstable. He quickly learned how to dial the power down as to not break his body, or explode like an egg in the microwave. He didn't want to test if his regeneration would even be able to put him back together if that were to happen. Losing an arm was one thing. Losing everything was another. Midoriya settled with 8% of One for All's power as a comfortable limit for him. The quirk truly felt like an extension of his own body as it unified with his quirk factor. Boosted by this new power, cleaning up the beach was a breeze. He dedicated 12 hours a day to the project. The manual labor wasn't the hardest part. The secrecy from his family and friends was. He'd miss eating lunch with his mother, skip out on activities with his friends, and cancel on Bakugo for their scheduled training. It was hard, but he knew it was what needed to be done. The weeks flew by as it was now the first day of classes. Midoriya stood on top of the last pile of trash on the beach, releasing all of his tension and stress with a shout. The last month was physically and mentally draining, but it was all worth it. The beach was litter-free, and Midoriya had fairly good control of his new quirk, but there wasn't enough time to reflect. He had to get to UA. Izuku now stood in front of the massive doors of Class 1A. He looked down at his phone and read Bakugo's text, which contained a lot of profanity, about a guy with glasses.
What the?
Midoriya slid the door to the classroom open, and the text suddenly made a lot more sense. Get your feet off school property! It's disrespectful to the institution! Get the stick out your ass, no one cares! A boy with blue hair and glasses was arguing with Bakugo. Their commotion was causing the other students to gather on the opposite side of the room from them. But the sound of the opening door caught the two boys' attention, and the look on the blue-haired one's face turned from stern to shock. It's you! We had our entrance exam together. The boy shook Midoriya's hand and introduced himself. I'm Tenya Ida, and I'm sorry about what happened to you on that day. Ida bowed in apology, and he explained. You have helped me realize that my perspective on heroics was ill-judged. I could have done something to help, but I was too focused on the task at hand, and my inaction led to severe consequences. I'm deeply sorry, and I hope to have your forgiveness.
Don't worry about it, Midoriya stammered. I ended up okay after all. I'm glad I was able to help you, even if it was in an unconventional way.
At that moment, Midoriya heard an audible gasp from behind him, and he turned around to see the girl that he saved. She looked up at him, teary-eyed, and gave him a sudden and strong hug.
I didn't know if I'd ever see you again,
she sniffed.
I'm so glad that you're okay.
She let go of a now bright-red Midoriya as she composed herself.
After the incident, I and a handful of other students wrote you cards and sent you gifts. I didn't know how else to say thank you.
Midoriya cleared his throat and replied,
I'm happy to see you again, too. Or Araka, right?
The 3 students standing at the doorway turned around to see a vagabond-looking man in a bright yellow sleeping bag laying on the ground. He stood up and ordered the class to take their seats as he introduced himself. I'm Shota Aizawa, your homeroom teacher. It took you all several seconds to quiet down, and frankly, that's several seconds too long. The teacher opened a box in front of the class and asked the students to change into the gym uniforms, as it was time for their first assessment of the year. Several students attempted to protest only to be promptly shut down. The class swiftly changed into their uniforms, not wanting to annoy the teacher more with their supposed untimeliness, and migrated toward a training area outside.
The teacher's eyes scanned across the faces of his students, and his gaze landed on Bakugo. Aizawa tossed a baseball device toward him and explained what the purpose of the assessment was. Today, we will be taking a quirk assessment test to determine your proficiency and potential of your quirk. Bakugo here will demonstrate the ball throw test. The teacher directed Bakugo to stand behind the line and continued his explanation. Use your quirks however you want. Just complete the physical test to the best of your ability. Aizawa gave Bakugo a starting command, and with a thundering, "Die!" challenging the volume of his explosion, the baseball was sent flying. A teacher held up a device that showed the distance the ball went. 705.2 meters. Several students started talking amongst themselves in excitement, which irked Aizawa, prompting him to raise the stakes. Hero work isn't fun and games. This should be taken seriously, and to make sure you all don't slack off, the person who gets last place will be promptly expelled. And on that happy note, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. A thick tension was in the air as the students murmured to one another. Their conversations quickly dispelled as Aizawa led them toward their first test. With an 8% boost from One For All, Midoriya was able to find himself getting a very comfortable place ahead of the pack. Then it came to the ball throw. Midoriya had an idea brewing about how he could approach this task, but it was risky. When he first received One For All, he felt the overbearing power it had in his body, and it reached destructive levels. As All Might explained, using 100% of the quirk would overload his limbs, so he learned how to subdue the power and use it in percentage increments. Maybe he could take off the training wheels and see what this quirk could do. After the incident at the entrance exam, he knew that even if his arm did blow off, regeneration would, regenerate it. At least, he hoped it would. All evidence pointed to it. Standing up to the line, Midoriya focused the energy of One For All into his right arm. His veins glowed a familiar green, and he amped up the power level. The green glow suddenly transformed itself into flicks of lightning surrounding him. Just a bit more, Midoriya strained. The green lightning darkened to a light pink as his veins coursed and glowed the same shade. Tightening his focus, Midoriya concentrated all the energy in his arm and felt the explosive power of One For All ready to burst. He brought his arm back slowly and felt the pressure building up in his shoulder and triceps. He was ready. With as much force as he could muster, Midoriya threw his arm forward at breakneck speeds, leaving cracks in the floor beneath his pivot foot. A gust of wind burst around Midoriya as he released the ball, causing several students to be taken aback. Midoriya stared as the ball traveled out of his line of sight, smiling and amazed at the power he unleashed. Aizawa lifted his device and showed the class just how far the ball flew. 1,005.3 meters. The students applauded at the demonstration, except for Bakugo. He stood there, menacingly. He looked shocked, but a flicker of sadness flashed across his face. Midoriya realized he messed up. He stepped forward, trying to come up with a quick explanation in his head to tell Bakugo, but he was stopped by Uraraka. Midoriya, your arm is... Midoriya looked down at his throwing arm and saw that it was most definitely broken, taking a shade of deep crimson red. Oh, don't worry about that. It doesn't hurt. It'll heal in a couple of minutes. Something strange happened, however. His arm was rapidly gaining its regular color as he felt splintered bones reconnect, muscle fibers weave together, and popped veins reform. All in under a minute. Midoriya looked at his right arm front and back, examining the faster-than-usual healing. A sudden revelation hit him. One For All was a power stockpiling quirk, meaning his regeneration was now being fueled by the power of several generations. Well, that's something. All right, class, gather round. Aizawa ordered as a hologram of the leaderboard appeared in front of them. Midoriya scanned the list and saw his name in the upper ranks of third place. With the comfort of knowing he was safe from expulsion, he checked to see who was in last place, Minoru Mineta. Midoriya hadn't yet met the boy, but he was able to identify who this name belonged to as he saw a small purple-haired boy begging for the teacher to reconsider his decision. Aizawa frowned at the boy and sternly said, "Go to the principal's office." The display had many students left shocked as they hoped that the teacher was doing some sort of benevolent deception to make them work harder. But no. The small teen stalked off dejectedly. Well, what are you waiting for? Get back to class. We don't have all day. Aizawa ordered the remaining 19 students. For the rest of the day, Midoriya kept trying to find Bakugo to talk to, but the blonde seemed to be actively avoiding him. When the end of the day came, Midoriya finally caught up to him. As the freckled boy called out to Bakugo, he simply stopped and kept his back turned to Midoriya. Kacchan, I'm so sorry for keeping this new power a secret from you, but I can't tell you where I got it from. But I'm still trying to get used to it and make it my own. I haven't even told my mother about it. But you deserve to know the truth. Bakugo looked back at Midoriya, and he looked at the freckled teen with malice for the first time since they were kids. Bakugo snapped and yelled back. What the hell are you saying? You got a power? I thought we were supposed to be friends. Why are you lying to my face like I'm an idiot? I trusted you with all my secrets growing up, but you kept this from me the entire time? The blonde sniffed and rubbed his eyes with his sleeves, clearly feeling betrayed. Midoriya didn't know if there was anything he could do or say to remedy the distance that suddenly grown between them. Midoriya waited a moment and chose his next words carefully. I'm sorry. I wish that I could have told you. I haven't even told my mom about it. It's not my secret to tell. Shut the hell up with your bull. If you're not going to be straight up with me, then I don't want to hear it from you. Bakugo started walking away, and all Midoriya could do was watch. Midoriya was conflicted. He had this power with generations of secrets and sacrifices to protect Japan, but with all the secrecy, he was losing the people he cared about the most. When he told All Might about telling Bakugo, the hero was not pleased. It was lucky that Bakugo didn't believe him, but if word got out about One for All, Midoriya would be in grave danger. Despite what All Might was saying, Midoriya could sense that he was keeping some secrets of his own back. This power wasn't as simple as power stockpiling. It had a history, and Midoriya could feel it within him. What was All Might keeping from him? Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from today's video. So, thank you all for watching, and have a great day.